Hello and welcome back to MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things magic. In today's video, we are going to add the next 20 creature cards with mana values of 7 into our Momir Vig Cube. Hello, MTG BC. That is the MTG Burgeoning community. Welcome back to another installment of our ongoing Momir Vig Cube series. If you are unfamiliar with the goals of this series or just need a refresher, then you can go searching in the description below for a link to MTG Burgeoning's introduction to the Momir Vig Cube. And while you're down there looking for that link, you can also click the link to Cube Cobra, where you can view the contents of the cube as it stands right now. So for today, 20 creature cards with mana values of 7. Let's get right to it with a mono blue beastie. It is the Mortar, a 12/12 Leviathan with trample. 12/12 trample with a blue creature that only costs 7. You know there must be some horrible ways in which this is going to affect us. Let's read further. It ETBs tapped. All right, there's strike number 1. When it comes into play, you sacrifice it unless you sacrifice 5 lands. Oh, okay, there's strike number 2. This does not untap during your untap step. Strike 3, you are out. Whenever you play an island, you may untap Mortar. All right, so there's an awful lot to unpack around this creature, and chances are, if you are the unfortunate player to jam 7 of your mana into your Momir Vig SIMIC Visionary Avatar, and you end up producing a token copy of Mortar, chances are you are not going to sacrifice 5 lands when it ETBs. So most likely, this is just going to be one of those creatures that's going to hurt you more than it helps you. And it's just one of the themes woven into this Momir Vig Cube. Not every creature is going to be uber helpful or uber powerful. Back-to-back mono blue additions. This is Junkwinder. It's a 5/6 with affinity for tokens, which is completely meaningless because this is going to be randomly summoned from the Momir Vig Cube. Whenever a token enters a battlefield under our control, we get to tap target non-land permanent an opponent controls, and it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Guess what, fans of MTG Burgeoning? Every creature that's coming into play under every player's control is a token. So what we have here is we have sleep built into one of our creatures as an triggered ability, because every creature that's summoned from the cube is a token copy of the creature. So we're going to be able to tap lots of permanents and make sure that they don't untap during our opponent's next untap step. And if we have the luck and all the stars align, and we have a creature that we can activate to create additional creature tokens, well, we should end up winning that game and possibly losing some friends. All right, creature number 3, Karavik the Merciless. 5/4. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, Karavik will deal damage equal to target creature or player equal to the spell's converted mana cost. So if we jam this bad boy on our side of the battlefield on our turn 7, our opponents might not want to go and throw 7 mana into their avatar, because we're going to deal 7 damage, most likely right to their face, because each player is only starting off with 24 life in Momir Vig, and Karavik can make quick work of a game with such a low life total. Creature number 4, our first mono black edition, it is Kalitas, Bloodchief of Get. 5/5 with an ability that requires us to pay 3 black mana. 3 black mana. So MTG BC, you've got to make sure that you are packing those swamps in your basic land library. And if you are, you will be rewarded, because we can pay 3 mana and tap our Bloodchief here to destroy target creature. And when the creature dies, we will create a vampire creature token that's power is equal to the destroyed creature's power, and the toughness is exactly the same. So in a way, as long as we have enough black mana, We will eventually win the numbers games as we send our opponent's most important and powerful creatures to their graveyards, and we create token copies of them with the exact same power and toughness. All right, next up, reaching the quarter mark of this video, we have Colonian Behemoth. This is going to be a simple one. It's 9/9, and it has Shroud. That's really it. There's no evasion. It can't be targeted by anything. 9/9 with Shroud. Creature 6, back to the multicolored well. We have Karthus, Tyrant of Jaundice, 7/7 dragon with flying and haste. When it ETBs, gain control of all dragons and then untap all dragons. And of course, Karthus gives other dragons we control haste. There are some dragons flying around in the confines of this Momir Vig Cube. How many of them will be on the battlefield if a player summons a token copy of Karthus? That remains to be seen, but minimally, you're getting a 7/7 flying haster with the investment of the 7 mana into your avatar. And let's face it, haste is one of those keyword abilities that could really go a long way to claiming victory in a game of Momir Vig. Back to mono black. This time it is... Come on, camera. There we go. It is Kazaroth, the Sengir Pureblood. A 4/4 flyer. Whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on Kazaroth. Now read that. It doesn't have to die. It's whenever a creature an opponent controls is dealt damage. So even if an opponent attacks another opponent, and that defending opponent just chump blocks, guess what? That's 2 +1/+1 counters that's going on to Kazaroth. And he already has the amazing ability of flying, which, let's face it, that's the bee's knees in a format like Momir Vig. And as a built-in damage producer, we can tap 3 in a red mana to have Kazaroth deal 2 damage to target creature. The 4 is a little inflated for only 2 mana, but to get these +1/+1 counters on a huge creature like Kazaroth, it's going to be well worth it. Just make sure you're packing those mountains into your basic land library. All right, our first mono-white edition, we have Konda, Lord of Aiganju. It is a 3/3 legendary human samurai with vigilance. It has Bushido 5, meaning that when this creature blocks or becomes blocked, it's getting +5/+5 until end of turn. And of course, Konda, Lord of Aiganju, is indestructible. So we have an indestructible vigilant creature that's 3/3. It goes into combat. If an opponent blocks it, bam, it's 8/8 indestructible. If it sits back and blocks, bam, it's 8/8 indestructible. This could really go a very long way in preserving our board state and making sure that we can keep the numbers down of our opponent's creatures. Because let's face it, we're not going to lose out in an exchange of an indestructible creature versus one of our opponents, as long as that opposing creature does not also have indestructible. All right, back to the mono blue well. This time we have Kraken of the Straits, 6/6 that reads, creatures with power less than the number of islands you control can't block Kraken of the Straits. Just another important reason to make sure you diversify your basic land decks so that you can have a copy of that Kraken and make sure that you can swing in for unblockable damage if you've got those sweet islands on your side of the battlefield. All right, reaching the halfway point of this video, our first mono-red creature today. It is the Laccolith Titan, a 6/6 beast that whenever it becomes blocked, we may have it deal damage equal to its power to target creature. If we do, Laccolith Titan deals no combat damage this turn. So this will give our opponent something to think about, particularly if they're trying to protect some utility or auxiliary creature that might be helping them to do some kind of perverse or menacing things on their side of the battlefield. They won't be able to do that for very long because 6 points of damage straight to their face is 25% of their starting life total. Starting off the second round of creatures in this video, oh, do we have a classic here. Let's give a very warm welcome in the comment section below for Lord of the Pit. A 7/7 demon with flying and trample. You may think that's the best thing since pizza, and sometimes it could be. However, during your upkeep, sacrifice a creature, and if you can't, Lord of the Pit will deal 7 damage to you, and you cannot sacrifice Lord of the Pit to itself. So if you have the honor and the privilege of summoning a token copy of Lord of the Pit, and you're sending a 7/7 flying trampler all over your opponents, it may be in your best interest to start generating some smaller creatures that can be sacrificed to Lord of the Pit, just so that you can keep it happy. Next up in our first colorless addition to this video, we have the Lotus Guardian, a 4/4 flying artifact creature. We can tap to add 1 mana of any color to our mana pool. Here is a potential way to fix any mana fixing needed in order to activate any of the creature abilities that we've talked about in this video, and something that we've kind of stressed throughout this series is making sure you diversify those basic land decks. All right, another mono-white creature. This is Luminate Primordial, a 4/7 with vigilance. When it ETBs for each opponent, we will exile up to 1 target creature that player controls. That player will gain life equal to its power, but when this comes into play, it's a 1 for 3. I'll take that every single day of the week, and twice on Friday Night Magic, because we're going to lessen the board of each one of our opponents, and we're still left with the 4/7 vigilant monster that we should be able to comfortably send into combat with such a robust toughness. And the vigilance will help to keep it for the defensive side of the game as well. All right, back-to-back mono-white creatures. This time, Luminous Angel. Look at that fantastic artwork from Mirrodin. Wow, we don't see angels like that anymore, do we, MTG BC? 4/4 with flying. At the beginning of our upkeep, we're going to create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with that sweet, sweet keyword of flying. So if our opponents are reachless or flyingless with their board, Luminous Angel will slowly take control of the game. It's going to be a little bit of a battle. Her power is only 4, and she's only generating a 1/1 flyer at the beginning of each of our upkeeps. But still, she has the potential for the long game. Okay, we are moving to the 3/4 mark of this video with our second colorless creature, the Lunar Avenger, 2/2 with Sunburst. So this will ETB with a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana used to pay to cast it, or in this instance, used to summon it from the Momir Vig Cube. Sunburst is one of those mechanics that it is present in the cube, but it's not an overarching presence and not something that you can adequately prepare for, because let's be honest, it's a 1 in 200 shot when you take a creature from the tier 7 level of the cube, and you can't possibly expect that it's going to have Sunburst. But again, the bonus of diversifying your basic land library, having as many colors represented as equally as possible, is always going to be beneficial when we're talking about Momir Vig. We can remove one of the +1/+1 counters on Lunar Avenger, and it will gain our choice of flying, first strike, or haste until end of turn. Best case scenario, this comes into play as a 7/7 with the ability to give it haste, temporarily of course, because we would only need it for the first turn, and we can also give it the defensive capability of first strike. But let's be honest, we're probably going to jam the flying on this bad boy as soon as we can and send it straight at one of our opponents. Another colorless addition, Mage Ring Responder, 7/7. It does not untap during your untap step. If you want to untap this bad boy, it's going to cost you 7 mana. Yeah, some creatures, they come big with the abilities. Whenever Mage Ring Responder attacks, it will deal 7 damage to target creature defending player controls. So at this point in the game, that 7 damage should be able to take care of nearly every creature up to and including tier 7. Can't say it's an absolute, but let's be honest, the numbers are going to be in our favor, which probably is the reason why it's going to take 7 mana to untap this dude. It may be worth it, particularly if there are no other lands in your hand, so that you cannot because you need to discard them to summon creatures from the cube. Maybe you're just going to untap Mage Ring Responder and just send it into combat and pop off another creature with 7 points of damage. All right, here we have another multicolored edition, Magister Sphinx. It's a 5/5 flyer that when it ETBs, target player's life total becomes 10. Generally, we're going to have that player be an opponent. However, in Momir Vig, by the time we're at turn 7, turn 8, there might be a distinct chance that we need to make our life total 10 because maybe it's getting too perilously close to 0. Mono Red is up next, and we have a Magma Giant 5/5 that when it ETBs, it deals 2 damage to everything, all creatures and all players. If there are token armies that one of our opponents has, very luckily been able to create, they're gone, and each player's life total is also going to drop by 2 points. 2 creatures left, and the next one, oh boy, similar to Lord of the Pit. It's one of those oldies, but oh so memorable. Let's make sure we have some nice warm comments down in the comment section below for Marjan. There it is. Look at that. Oh, so beautiful. Come on, camera, get in the game here. Oh, there we go. Just awesome. We have an 8/8 Serpent. It does not untap during our untap phase. Excuse me, it cannot attack unless a player controls no islands. You got that? It cannot attack if defending player controls no islands. So it has Island Home, if you remember that from way back in the day. If any time you control no islands, we sacrifice Marjan. Pay 2 blue, sacrifice a creature to untap Marjan. We can only do this ability during our upkeep. We can pay 2 blue mana and give a -1/-0 till end of turn, and Marjan will deal 1 damage to target attacking creature without flying. So this Serpent definitely comes with a lot of hang-ups. That is for sure. Just make sure that, if you get this dude and you don't see any islands on your opponent's side of the battlefield, it may be a good thing to just kind of let this guy, float on by and just sacrifice him to one of your other creature's abilities. I don't know. But at least minimally, if you have enough islands on your side of the battlefield, you can help to mitigate some of the combat damage coming your way with its -1/-0 ability. Hey, I never said it was a powerful creature. I never said it was a coveted creature. All I said is it was a memorable creature. All right, creature number 20. Speaking of powerful and memorable, we're closing things out today with Memnark, a 4/5 artifact creature. We can pay 1 and 2 blue, and target permanent becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. And we can pay 3 and a blue to gain control of target artifact. So if you have at least 3 islands on your side of the battlefield and 4 other ways to generate mana, you can take any permanent on the battlefield and put it right onto play, or right on your side of the battlefield, and it becomes yours. So Memnark could definitely take over the game as long as you have those blue mana sources in your basic land deck. All right, MTG BC, there we have it. 20 more creature cards, this time with mana values of 7. We did some doozies today, and I'd like to hear in the comment section below, which are your favorites? This is MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things magic.